Hi guys, welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. We have just played the third episode of TellTale's The Expanse. So Jack's just literally freshly played it. I played it yesterday. Thank you again to everyone who came on stream. And so Jack, when I finished the episode and you asked me how did I find it, from memory, I think my reply was, honestly, mate, bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. I felt a little underwhelmed. I just wanted to ask you, same sentiment for yourself there?
Yeah, if I'm honest. It was just, I found that a lot of the episode was obviously, you're with Maya, you're just sort of exploring, you're doing things with junction boxes and stuff. And then it just drops like this massive choice on you at the end. And I think my biggest critique going from, say, episode 2 into episode 3 is it's almost like, I don't know if it's because of the 2-week gap, I find that I'm almost playing catch up with the story a little bit. Like, I'm not 100% sure of what's going on. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I prefer the 2-week gap to how it was before, so I think it's definitely an improvement from how it was before. But yeah, I think someone, Joshua Diadone, one of the people who tuned into the stream, asked me, will you be watching The Expanse or when will you? And I'm not going to lie, I don't think I will. I don't think I'm in any rush to watch The Expanse after that. It's just not my cup of tea, really. I mean, I might enjoy it, but I don't know. I just don't really have the time to dig into a series of that, magnitude at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe it would help if I was a big time fan of the show, but I'm just not, and I don't plan to be. So yeah, when they name different races, different locations, different characters, I can get a little lost. So yeah, no, I do agree with you on that one, mate.
It's just that, I was just going to say that, there's things that happened, obviously we'll get into them, that in this episode, and I'm like, why did this happen? Surely choices before should have altered that particular thing from happening. And yeah, I guess I won't say any more on it. I guess we'll run through the choices and stuff, but overall I was like, episode 3 needed to be a banger, and for a lot of it wasn't. It was only the final 10 minutes or whatever that it started to kick in. And even I'm going to say this now as someone that explores, this was about an hour and 10 minutes, maybe not even that for me. And it just, obviously most of the episode was exploring, but there just wasn't a lot to it. So yeah.
No, I completely get you. One of the things we said is that episode 1 and 2 weren't that different. The only difference being, a few dialogue scenes here and there, some choices, and then what was it? Just the fact that in one episode you would explore and then talk, and then the other episode they just flipped it round, but both things were still there. We said that episode 3 needed to change the formula massively, right?
Yeah.
And it just felt like the last episode, just a lot of exploring. I quite like the fact that it seemed like there was more of a bit of a horror vibe to it, I guess, at the start, and I thought we could be onto something. But then everything was so abrupt, at the end. Anne and Virgil just not present. I don't really, they were left at the door, which was very underwhelming, and so were the brothers till the very end of the game. So yeah, definitely something to critique into. I mean, we'll get into the nitty-gritty first, mate, of the choices. Now, at the end of the episode, we usually get 10 to 15 choices of did you do this or that. And yeah, of course, not all of them are going to matter. At the end of this episode, first ones, it gives us 7 choices. Now, 5 of them are pretty nothing. It's, did you talk about last night, which you probably didn't even get because you didn't sleep with Maya, where you could talk about your interaction the night before. Did you get that?
Yeah, I was in the minority, 13%.
Just out of curiosity, what do you talk about if you don't bang?
So when you're in that first room where you're opening up each section, it's you can tell that Maya is mildly hostile, and I emphasize the word mildly. It's not like she hates you or anything like that. And even then, come round later on, she's absolutely fine again. So I almost look at it as it's not that important whether you sleep with her or not. At least that's what I'm going out on a whim and saying at this point so far.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, interesting. Yeah, probably right. Like, yeah, at one point you speak about what you're gonna do when you get all the loot afterwards, and I just tried both options, and yeah, it just went back to the same conversation path. So yeah, it seems like a lot of them are nothing choices. Prank revenge, mate. Now, for me, I never pranked her in the first place, so I didn't get this. But do you have anything you want to comment on with prank revenge, whatever that was?
All it was is that I was in 89% and I didn't swear revenge on the prank. But to be honest, you know how you get them choices where like you didn't even encounter the situation, so it therefore registers you as a certain thing. I feel like that was it because I don't even remember anything about getting revenge on the prank coming up. So maybe I've missed something there, or maybe it's something that's
Yeah.
carried on from previous. I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna like scatter through a lot of these choices. It's stuff like drummer questions, or said she'd be lucky to have Maya, like to help the belt. Mausoleum reaction. Mausoleum reaction I find hilarious. There is a whole choice here dedicated to whether you find a room scary or beautiful. I mean, when that is a choice, it doesn't really shine confidence on the episode as a whole, mate, does it?
No. I mean, that's out of interest. Did you say it was beautiful or horrific?
I said beautiful, but I just was like, yeah, it's just nothing.
I did as well. 54%, and then for the, is she lucky to have her 82%? And I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler for later, but you know when that whole conversation happened, when she was like, "Oh, I'd be lucky to have you,"
Yeah.
at my side. I immediately thought, right, Maya's gonna die, because it's just that classic TV or film thing. As soon as like people start to get close and everything's nice, something's got to happen to one of them. And I was thinking to myself, well, Maya, she doesn't feature in the TV series, and I was like, maybe it's her that's the default death in this game. I'm not sure, but that was what my thinking was at that particular moment, mate.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I've always thought Maya seemed a little dispensable, to be honest. And then the moment, like you say, you get close. Like I said, this is episode 3, so I very much got Carly vibes from her. TellTale have this filthy habit of killing off your love interest in the 3rd episode. So, I always thought Maya could have, she had a similar pattern. Defining belters, there's not much there. Then, okay, like, we'll get to the nitty-gritty final choice, mate. We get to the end where trust or fight Rayan. So, yeah, obviously, we find this substance, which is really deadly. It's almost like a bioweapon. And there's talks about whether you destroy it or sell it. And Arlen has found a buyer, so he holds you at gunpoint, like, yeah, we're selling this. I have a buyer. I'm going to airlock you. Now, back to the point you said about, like, not really understanding. I get it's kind of a money thing, but it did feel a bit out of nowhere, and I wasn't sure I liked the writing of this.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand the motives of, like, obviously, if it is that expensive and that valuable, you could probably split it more ways. And it just almost felt like sloppy writing, that Arlen just went instantly from just being this absolute kind of pirate, like, thief guy who was like, yeah, I'm gonna airlock you now. I don't know, but if you think the same, mate, it just felt lazy.
It was incredibly abrupt. I mean, pat on the back for ourselves, because we literally said in episode 2 that, there's 2 twins, potentially there's going to be a one good, one bad situation. So that seems to have played out. But yeah, just this episode in general, like, even when you find that body in, like, that room with all the coffins in a big circle, and there's all like these little things that you listen to and you read and that, and I'm just not understanding. Like, one of the things that I wanted to really gauge from this was like to get a full picture of what the background situation was. And there's so many names and locations, and obviously you've got the language that's being used in the game that's a bit different. I'm just finding myself getting a bit lost, to the point where the only bit I understood was that there was this MK core thing that was dangerous, and that Arlen wanted to sell it and Drummer wanted to destroy it. And that's really all I got from it. So anything else, anything background, I was a bit, I don't know what's going on here.
Bit of a poor one, really. Okay, so when it came to, like, the big showdown where Rayan's like, no, trust me. Did you trust him or did you fight back against Arlen?
I mean, I trusted him, and this again comes back to something earlier on. Like, obviously, I saved him. Like, I saved his leg, and when Arlen was bullying him earlier on, I saved him. So I was thinking, come on, like, I know obviously, you know, them two things doesn't necessarily warrant him to join sides and kill his brother or anything like that. But I was hoping that the choices would then lean in my favour. But, I mean, going a bit further ahead, it didn't seem to, because he then just walks you to the airlock, and then, what's his face? Arlen then brings Maya in, and then she ultimately dies when you both get spaced. So, yeah, Maya's dead for me, mate. How did it play for you?
Identical choice. So, I mean, to be honest, like, I trusted Ryan. I think I would have done the same anyway, because the pattern with these games seems to be, oh yeah, be nice, and then you'll get good things. And then, obviously, it went against that, which I actually respect. So, like, one thing that was funny is that I went with what the stream wanted me to do. I felt bad for the stream, because obviously the whole thing is that their choices shape what I do, right? But there weren't any choices till the end. They had to sit through an hour of me walking through hallways. And then they got to the end and they only got there saying, like, one thing, really. Like, there was literally one choice in this game, because although there's two choices at the end of here, one's basically like a stem from the other one, right? So one's basically just Maya's fate, which stems from trusting or fighting Ryan. Now, the interesting thing is that I was like, I think I would trust Ryan because of what I said earlier, but someone like Fleecy and I think someone else in the chat was like very much like, nah, like we need to be chaotic here, let's fight. And I was like, I think Jack's gonna trust, so I kind of want to fight as well, just to go against what you pick. But we got outvoted. Weirdly, a few people flooded into the stream and voted trust, and I don't think. And then they bounced instantly. Now, if those people didn't, I think we might have actually picked the other one. And it's interesting because it actually. Apparently it benefits you more if you fight Rayan, which I felt is really interesting, which I will gauge into what can happen. Because Maya doesn't have to die. She does the same for me. At one point, I think there's going to be like a thing where you can give her the helmet and then you go back to that place where those helmets are at the start. But nah, alas, we couldn't get through the door, and I think we had the same ending where Maya, for me, is also dead, mate. So how do you feel now that Maya's no longer in the game?
I don't know, like I'm still like trying to process the whole thing, but I'm kind of a bit meh, which is a sort of surprising because I was like trying to keep them all alive, wasn't I? I mean, I don't know, at this point it could be that Myra is the default character to, you know, to die still, but I don't know, I feel like it's weird because in terms of the play length, episode 1 and 2 was okay for me, but I think that's only okay for me because I explore a lot, right? This one was significantly shorter. However, I feel like I'm going to default on the position that I do think they need to add like maybe an extra 20 or 30 minutes to these episodes, because something about the story and the characters don't feel fleshed out enough for me to give a damn. So when she died, it was like, you know, I should have fought him. There was no sort of like, fuck, you know, this and that. It's just like, yeah, she's dead.
Thing is as well, by the way it looks like Cox has been handled, if she's alive, I bet she becomes such a background character anyway now. So yeah, like, we're probably not really missing out on too much anyway, but I do agree, I wasn't that sold. One thing I want to just say is that on my stream, we've got a comment from someone who also was there, so Joshua Diadone. Apparently this is how you can save Maya if you are interested, because Maya can obviously survive. So would you like to hear how to save?
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Now the quote says, "The way to save Maya, you have to be on good terms with the brothers Rayan and Arlen, and you need to do all three in order to save her. Stop the bullying between them in episode 1.
Right. Okay.
Save Rayan's leg in episode 1.
Right, yeah, makes sense.
and find the medicine and give it to Arlen in episode 2. So obviously, you would have done the leg one, right? I would have done the meds one.
Yeah.
So we both did 1 out of 3. So, we weren't good enough on either front there, mate.
Oh, interesting.
But I quite like that past choices do affect it there.
Yeah. No, I do as well. I appreciate that. It's going to be more of a pain in the arse to go back and replay. But no, I know, joking aside, it is good because, let's face it, like, where you're probably deemed that, whole bullying one as like a minor choice. And if that is the case, that is part of the criteria to, for the ending of this episode, then fair play. You've got to take your hat off to it.
The thing is, though, like, if that is how you save her, surely not many people did. Because, like, getting those meds was a challenge. Not many people are actually going to find them. I doubt a lot of people are going to stop 2 brothers having a little play fight.
Yeah.
So I'd almost, like, criticize it as well. It almost seems like either harsh or just, like, non-related. And, like, Rayan's cool with you. If it's Rayan that affects, like, Rayan's, like, quite friendly with you. It's Arlen that flips at you. So I almost don't understand. If anything, I should be on good terms with Arlen. I got him the fucking meds. So yeah, like, it does seem a bit weird and convoluted, the choices. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Yeah, no, it is. And this is, I think, without almost me consciously knowing it, it literally comes back to the point I said at the very start, where certain things don't make sense and they feel disconnected from previous things that were said or done. And I think this is another example of it.
What I wanted to ask you actually was, did Cox really do anything this episode, lad? Because obviously that is a big thing that I've missed.
Jack shit, he didn't feature at all.
Yeah, so like Virgil and Khan, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very much Drummer, Maya, and the 2 brothers this episode. And it's almost like, again, harkening back to Walking Dead Season 1, how, like, they suddenly give you, like, loads of time with a character who's gonna get killed off. Obviously, it's down to a choice, right? I like in Walking Dead's episode 3, Lee suddenly spends loads of time with Duck, and, you're trying to solve things with him. It seems like a little parallel here with Maya, and then you have the nice chat, and then, she dies. But I think, the fact that you can keep her alive, that's certainly a positive thing.
I've had to do a bit of research on what happens if you fight the brothers. So you basically win the fight against Rayan, you chuck him in the brig with Cox if he is there as well. And then Arlen comes, holds you at gunpoint, with Maya as hostage and chucks you out in the airlock. But Maya chucks you a helmet so you're able to safely get to the same place we are. So Maya survives, in that, that sense as well. So it almost does seem like fighting is actually the right option. So like I say again, I actually do quite like that you get rewarded for tackling a problem head on and not going for the nice approach there.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I do, yeah. So actually, you don't need all of the convoluted 3 choices from before, take it then. So you can literally, if you choose fight, Maya lives.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Unless, like, the footage I've seen is someone who's done all 3 of those things. I don't know. But yeah, no, that's super interesting. So yeah, like, it's an odd one, because when the episode finished, I was a little bit like, oh, is that it? I had like a really bitter taste in my mouth, and then, when I spoke to you afterwards, I just was like, yeah, this it's going to be a weird analysis series where we're slightly critical. We said they needed to change the formula, but they've almost kept the bits we didn't want them to keep, but changed it for the worse. And I really don't know how I feel about that, lad.
Well, the thing is, it's just that the bulk of the episode was you just wandering down corridors, wasn't it? And one corridor to the next, bit of dialogue, then another corridor, then a bit of dialogue, and it just didn't do it for me. And then so when you get this whole showdown at the end, it's suddenly like, it's suddenly going 100 mile an hour. In terms of like collectibles and stuff. I don't know, there's no counter for like the salvage and stuff, but in this episode I didn't manage to find all of the data logs and the salvage. Which is weird because, like, I did actually, as I usually do, explore quite heavy, but I just didn't manage to find them this time. Did you have any more success in that department, mate?
Well, like, I don't. Is there a way to sort of?
Just by checking the achievements.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, my achievements didn't pop again, like in episode 1, lad. So my trophy's glitched, I guess.
Oh.
So I don't know, but I mean, I got a lot, so maybe I could have got it. I felt like I found so much salvage and collectibles, but nothing popped because of glitches. So it looks like the game persists with its issues with that. One thing that I wanted to comment on as well that you mentioned with like the walking and the exploring is, I mean, despite that one sort of tomb room that looked really cool towards the end with the mining bit and the cathedral, that like looked cool, and I welcomed the change there. But everything else looked quite similar. That it was like the same hallways, just like marked 1, 2, and 3. So like you get Maya to the like other place, then they throw these like really awful looking puzzles at you with like the switchboards or whatever, where you don't even have to fail it that bad. You literally just switch the direction and then you get it right. And sometimes I would get them right by accident, and it was always really confusing to see which way was which, because like sometimes I'd be upside down, so left actually meant right, and there was just all sorts going on. But yeah, I wasn't a really big fan of those. Yeah, so just not really a fun episode. And if I was to replay this game, I feel like I wouldn't look forward to playing episode 3 at all, lad.
Yeah, I think I'd be of the same accord. And like I say, I've got to that point where obviously, I'm going to do replays and stuff to look at the different choices and get the 100%. And if you do have to start from the beginning, then I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, episode 3. But at least on the plus side, it seems like a game that you can rush through. So if you
that is true.
Did want to get the 100%, you're not sat there like you was back in the day with Walking Dead, having like these very tedious and slow scenes. So
yeah, another weird comment I want to say is that my game was heavily glitched in one area where you would explore and one of the classrooms would crash my driver. So I literally had to actively avoid one of the rooms in the end because it would just crash my game. So like, yeah, my computer just didn't want to go in a classroom. So that, I have to comment on that, to be honest. Bit annoying that had to happen. And otherwise, the last thing I really wanted to mention, lad, is our expectations for episode 4. What needs to change, and what do you think will happen, and what do you want to happen?
Oh, good question. Because to be honest, I wanted it to be this one. If I could almost rewrite it, because like I said, the thing is with episodes 1 and 2, and you said it earlier, that it's very much the same. There's a ship to explore, and there's a bit of dialogue with the characters. Episode 2's the same. Now we've had episode 3 like that as well, but you've just cut some characters out of it. There needs to be like a change of location or change of dynamic, and all I could possibly think of is that the crew get kidnapped by this Tucson and his crew, and maybe you've got to break out, almost similar to like Walking Dead season. I know we could argue about Walking Dead, but like Walking Dead season 2 when you're with Clem in Carver's camp, you've got to find a way out. Maybe you've got to sneak past some drones again or something. Like something along those lines. I don't want to be seeing like these very heavy explorer scenes again. I just want it to feel a little bit more structured, a bit more linear, if you get me.
Yeah, one thing I'm concerned about, someone mentioned it in the stream, is that the kind of the caption for episode 4 says, "Oh, drummer must, because she's by herself now." And it could be that it's really boring. We're just going to play as drummer going through the spaceship she's on, and then she's probably going to end up back on the Cassiopeia or whatever it is. No, sorry, not Cassiopeia, Artemis. And I just feel like, yeah, we're probably in for another snoozer, to be honest. I hope something does change with the characters that we do have left. Maybe Khan goes against the brothers and brings the spaceship back to you or something. Maybe, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I just feel like something has to change in the formula, and it's just really frustrating to see that episode 3 has been a step backwards rather than a step forwards. We always voiced that we wanted Wolf Among Us over this game, but we're open-minded to be pleasantly surprised. And yeah, they still can change things in my mind, but I don't know, it seems like I'm collecting all this salvage, and I'm literally there questioning, to what avail is this going to happen? Like, is getting Virgil mushroom powder gonna like help me? Is like not cutting the guy's leg off to keep extra treasure, is that gonna benefit me? And I'm just kind of, I feel like I'm setting up for a really disappointing end game. I don't know if that's like really harsh to say, but it's just, yeah, the way I'm feeling right now.
It's true. It's true. As time goes on, it's starting to show certain signs that it's, yeah, like I say, hopefully we can still be surprised, but yeah, I'm getting to that point now where I'm like, yeah, this is no, I feel like it's perhaps on the the downward slope.
It is, yeah. I feel like if I had to compare it to a meme, it's like the Scooby-Doo, where like you've got TellTale and then you remove the mask and then it's the old TellTale right underneath it. Like, they're back to their old tricks, aren't they? Like, what is the saying? Like, a leopard never changes its spots.
Yeah. The thing is, like, what I would say, there have been things in this game that have been a positive addition to what TellTale done previously. But, the whole episode delay thing, the fact that the episodes are quite short, that, or you could argue that the story and the characters don't feel fleshed out enough. Another thing, honestly, that happened in this episode as well is, the bit when it's just before you go to see that room with all the coffins in it, and it's big and circular. But I looked at a coffin, and then that took me forward in the game, and I was like, I hadn't finished exploring there. So I've now sort of got to the point, where you were, where like the game's carrying on without you knowing it's going to carry on.
Yeah, I always think there should be like a different like cursor marker if that's going to be the case, a bit like the Devil in Me did. Nah, for sure. But I mean, that is my overall opinion of the episode. Like, not slating it. I still had a good time. It was a fun stream, but it felt, like I say, I had a bit of taste in my mouth, and it felt like a step backwards. So, guys in the comments, please let us know what you thought of episode 3 of TellTale's The Expanse. Tell us what you expect from episode 4. Let us know if Maya's still alive for you, or is she dead? Is she floating around in space with Cox like she is with me? So, anything to add, Jack?
No, I don't think so, mate. Happy to wrap up.
Brilliant. Well, as always, guys, join us in 2 weeks' time, where I'll be playing The Expanse on the Wednesday, and then on the Sunday we're going to be doing our analysis of episode 4. Hopefully we can give you a happier tone episode, but we'll have to see. Take care, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Catch you later.